So joining me now is good friend of Rebel News, good friend of taxpayers everywhere, and good friend of me personally, Kris Sims. She's the Alberta director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, and she's on the show once again to tell us what happened with Alberta's Bill 2. That's the back to work legislation for Alberta teachers. Tell us what went down. I see, despite the NDP's best efforts, the law did pass. So what does it mean for teachers?
What it means for teachers is they're back at work.
Good.
As of right now. Yes, finally. After almost a month of our kids, students, remember them, everybody?
Yeah.
Remember how this is all about the kids? Yeah. Schools aren't just make work projects for adult teachers. You'd be forgiven for thinking the opposite, because frankly, the last 3.5 weeks, mostly all I've heard is a sounding board for union grievances.
Yep.
Largely in the mainstream media. To be fair, there are some folks who are really digging into the numbers there in mainstream media and are doing thorough reporting, to be fair. I am talking to some of them. But as of right now, the teachers are back at work. I'm told that a lot of teachers are wearing red for ed today, and a lot of students are feeling a lot of pressure to do a walkout.
Yep.
So I wanted just to let people know on the ground what that's sounding like in some schools. As far as the taxes and the show me the money part goes, as of right now, this is what's happened. So the Alberta government and the Alberta Teachers Association, which is the teachers union, were more or less bargaining off and on for around a year, give or take. Okay, it's a bit smushy. They were at the bargaining table going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. At the beginning of September, end of August, the government says that the ATA leadership, the Alberta Teachers Union leadership, had tentatively agreed to a contract. Meaning, okay, fellas, we think this is good. We're going to take it back to our membership, the teachers, and have them vote on it. And then we'll find out what happens. Well, the teachers voted on it, and they rejected it by close to 90%. So then they kept going back and forth. The Alberta government said, okay, listen, how about we do a school-by-school analysis of your overcrowded classrooms, or of your classrooms where you have too many kids with too many special needs, okay, or too many kids who are ESL. We're not going to do a blanket class size cap across the province because that's inefficient and it wastes taxpayers' money. But I'll tell you what, we'll do a thorough, granular analysis of every single school. And that's what was on the table. But then the teachers union came back with, and so the government had offered this entire package, okay, had offered about $2.6 billion in spending. And we can pull up actually what that actually looks like here. Sure. So this is the package, and we're going to look at it here in the graphic. So brand new teacher, 4 years of education, okay, so you got your Bachelor of Education, fresh as a daisy at a teacher's college. You're starting at $71,000 a year. You put in 7 years on the job, 7, you're already making over $100,000.
It's a $30,000 a year or $30,000 raise over the course of 7 years. That's pretty good.
You're moving up the ladder real fast, okay?
Yeah.
And if you're super smarty pants and you take extra schooling, okay, like you get a master's or something like that, look at where you're topping out. You're topping out just shy of $120,000. I need to also point out that standard qualifier, I had some really important teachers growing up in my life.
Same.
I still think about them. They meant a lot to me. But this is a fair wage. This is a fair wage. You're working in mostly daytime hours at a school, Monday to Friday, half Fridays here in Lethbridge, for about 189 days a year. For context, other workforce days, typically in a calendar year, 240.
Right.
189, 240. This is a fair wage. I'm getting some emails saying it isn't fair. It's too much. Okay, I hear you.
Okay.
I'm hearing that for some people, but I'm trying to be reasonable here. So that's what was offered. And then the teachers union actually came back with, how about $2 billion more?
Where? From where?
Exactly. Thank you. This is where I wanted to show people. So we're we have a debt of more than $80 billion with a B in Alberta. We're running a deficit this year. Some people get confused. They heard about the surplus from the last fiscal. That has nothing to do with this year.
Right.
Last fiscal year's surplus is like a chapter in a book that is closed and on the shelf. This year, we are running a deficit. So every dollar that teachers union was demanding extra is borrowed money. Borrowed money plus interest. So just the extra demand money, Sheila, would have cost all of us taxpayers $80 million with an M in interest. I did the math. That would cover the salaries of like 1,000 teachers. So it was just a crazy demand. I think they jumped the shark with people when they came back and said $2 billion more. Because honestly, I spoke to a teacher, longtime teacher. She's been in the game for between 15 and 20 years. She teaches grade 11 English. She teaches in Edmonton. She was very upset by not being allowed to go back to work a couple weeks ago. She said, I miss my kids. I miss my students. I'm not getting a paycheck. I have bills coming due on November 1st. Like, what is going on? We're getting no strike pay. This offer was reasonable. But to be fair, she said, you know what? I'm not one to complain, but my last class of the day, I've got like 38 kids in there. 16 of them cannot speak English. Or they have severe learning disabilities. Like I'm really struggling. That's totally legit. Like, and even the premier mentioned that teacher lady in question period and said, we have to fix her classroom. So now what had happened was government was over here saying, this is $2.6 billion, including hiring 3,000 more teachers, including hiring 1,500 new education assistants, including building over 100 schools. Take it. And the union said, well, no. And then the premier said, well, we're already missing final exams for grade 12. This is going to affect their ability with their transcript, by the way, with international universities.
Yep.
This
or
is a big deal.
even out of province universities.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people could see it on her face where she was done. She's like, nope. These are the same cohort of kids who were locked out of school during the lockdowns.
Yep.
We are damaging their education now. We're out of time. So she legislated the teachers back to work. And they have legislated that contract. So it's like, okay, here's your contract. So if you look at those numbers again, you're starting at $71,000 a year as a teacher in Alberta. Okay. The government says that after taxes, this pay grid that you're looking at makes Alberta teachers the highest paid teachers in Western Canada.
Yeah.
The issue here, and this is where I don't know, because I'm not a legal scholar. Okay. They use the notwithstanding clause.
Good.
I'm getting a lot of those emails too. But at the Taxpayers Federation, I'm the numbers lady.
Yep.
And I'm looking at this going, okay, what happens now? Like, what happens now? So I don't know what happens now. It's been invoked before. They invoked it in Ontario and they invoked it in Saskatchewan, and Quebec invokes it like all the time.
They like on signage laws.
like Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
Like Thursday afternoon,
they just pass a law and then invoke the notwithstanding clause every single time.
It's kind of part of their culture, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a thing. So legally, I've spoken to constitutional lawyers who do say and point out repeatedly that this is a fundamental element of our Charter of Rights and all that jazz.
It's part of the Charter.
Yes.
It's
an element of it. Like, saying that this that flies in the face of, no. This is a tool and a mechanism of it. The issue is that Western provinces haven't used it very much. And so it's kind of bewildering to some people. So at the end of the day, what the Taxpayers Federation cares about is the government did not back down. The government did not cave. The government also was leery about going to binding arbitration because they were worried that they're going to have to spend $1 billion more of taxpayers' money.
Right. And kids still won't be at school.
This is it. Kids, I have to keep stressing this. 700,000 kids were out of school. I'm lucky. I largely work from home, not all the time, and my kids are older.
Yeah.
That just means that they were, frankly, neglected while I was working. Mm-hmm. They were spending too much time on screens.
Yep.
But at least I wasn't worried about who to get childcare from.
Right.
There are so many, oh my gosh, Sheila, the emails I've been getting from parents.
Yep.
who were beside themselves. So kids have now missed out on nearly a month extra of school. And to be fair, I am hearing from local boards here in Lethbridge, and you're going to have to check with your local boards, everybody watching this. They are saying that they're canceling Pro D days. Like they're making up time. And the teachers are like, for example, making sure, okay, we're going to learn Hamlet on the days that we were going to be off for exams. I'm going to come in special. We're going to make sure, like, there are some who are making an effort to try to catch these kids up. I don't know if that's happening in every district, though.
It's definitely not happening in the one that my kids go to because they have fall break coming up. So they're going to go back to school for a week and then be on vacation for a week right after that, as if the kids can afford that. But it's funny to see people say that Danielle Smith violated the democratic rights of the teachers. You know whose rights were being violated in all of this? And you know, the other side of this loves the United Nations. So I'll go to their guys and I'll quote their favorite organization. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Child say that kids have a right to education. And as a parent, I am really tired of greedy unions violating my children's rights. Because that's what I saw. And I just noticed that, I think it's a Global News poll today. No, City News poll. Despite the what the mainstream media tells you about this, and despite what the NDP tells you about the back to work legislation, they're polling as of like an hour and a half ago when I took a screenshot. It's, do you support the Alberta government's decision to use the notwithstanding clause to force striking teachers back to work? 67% said yes.
Wow. There we go. I'm actually not surprised. I don't know why I said wow. We have to keep in mind this has been a month. This has been a month of no school for students. And to be very clear, teachers weren't getting paid strike pay.
Right.
They need to take that up with their union.
There should be a reckoning with the ATA over this.
Like, what's going on there? And I really wanted to hammer this point home because I'm getting people saying, oh, you know, you're not good at math or you're not doing your, you know, budgeting well and all that jazz. No. So this is the issue. Spending. Okay. Premier Danielle Smith has handled this very well.
Yep.
Very well.
Yep.
From a taxpayer's perspective, she's been a little too generous.
Sure.
I just need to point this out. Because you would be forgiven, dear viewer and listener, if you happen to be listening to the usual narrative. You would be forgiven for thinking that Premier Smith went full Ronald Reagan with air traffic controllers and fired everybody and hired them all back and hired them all back. That she went full Maggie Thatcher. No, actually, she has increased spending on education by 33% since fiscal year 21-22. I didn't use 2021 because that wouldn't have been fair because it was a much lower cost then. I would have gotten a way better number then, but I didn't. I made sure the kids were in school full time, and I went back and did that math. From fiscal year end, people can look it up in the documents. You can't look at the forecast or the guessing. Fiscal year end data, 2021-2022. Run your finger down, education, okay? We spent just over $7 billion with a B. This year, for the budget, we are on track to spend $10.4 billion. An increase of 33%.
My gosh.
And before anybody says, but what about inflation? I checked that. This
of course you did.
This eclipses, it's not 33% over and above, but it still eclipses both inflation and student population growth. Danielle Smith is still spending more money than we were years ago on kids' education in Alberta, including inflation plus population growth. That is a numerical fact.